There is something deeply rooted in the human spirit that calls us into the unknown. Since the earliest times, curiosity has pushed us beyond safe boundaries, in search of something we don't fully understand but feel must be there. Unexplored places, those that tourism has forgotten, have a kind of magnetism, a veiled promise of discoveries that no one else has made. And it is this restlessness that guides us. We want more, to know more, to experience more. Because deep down, we all want something that makes us feel unique. But what makes some places remain in the shadows while others become tourist destinations? It's not just a question of location. There are larger forces at play: political, geographic, and cultural barriers that keep certain nations away from the world's prying gaze. Forgotten countries, like rare jewels, hold secrets that few have ventured to uncover. These places, far from camera flashes and the flow of tourists, hold stories and beauties that are not always easy to reach. However, the challenge is what makes them even more fascinating. The unknown carries with it an aura of mystery, and it is exactly this atmosphere that keeps us intrigued. Imagine walking through lands that few have ever set foot on, feeling the wind from untouched mountains, or getting to know a culture that almost no one knows about. It's like leafing through a forgotten book in an old library. Each page reveals something new, unexpected, and wonderful. The real richness lies not in the most popular routes, but in the paths less traveled. And then the question arises: what makes these places so special? It's not just exotic landscapes or ancient stories. It's the very idea that by exploring the unknown, we are rediscovering something in ourselves. The journey to these destinations offers us an opportunity to connect with the new, the untouched, and to leave different than we were when we arrived. So, it is this spirit of curiosity and exploration that leads us to the next destination on our map of mysteries: the least visited countries in the world. There are places in the world that seem to have been forgotten by tourism. While popular destinations draw crowds, other nations remain hidden, shrouded in mystery. These lesser visited countries are no less fascinating. In fact, many of them have histories and cultures that are just as rich as the more famous nations. What defines them then? Geographically isolated or politically restricted, these countries are little explored, and it is precisely this isolation that makes them so special for the few who visit them. Imagine a place where time seems to have stopped, where ancient traditions still guide everyday life, and where modernity arrives only in small breaths. These countries are a true map of country curiosities, where every corner holds a surprise for those who dare to explore. But what makes these places so little visited? The answer, in large part, lies in the barriers that the modern world itself has erected. Geographic distance, economic challenges, and even political conflicts that make access to these hidden treasures difficult. However, those who dare to cross these barriers discover that the effort is worth it. The reward is an authentic, immersive experience far off the beaten track. Visitors to these lesser-known countries have the opportunity to experience something rare: genuine contact with cultures that still preserve much of their original essence, free from the massive influences of tourism. It's like discovering a curiosity about countries that few know about, but that, once discovered, leaves a lasting mark. And so, these places lie in wait, almost like silent guardians of ancient secrets. In an increasingly interconnected world, they stand out as exceptions. But, for those looking for the extraordinary, the different, and the untouched, these countries offer something that goes beyond a simple trip. They provide a true discovery. Now, our journey continues, exploring one of these exceptional destinations: the forgotten kingdom of Bhutan. Bhutan is one of those places that seems like something out of a fairy tale. Isolated in the Himalayan mountains, this small kingdom has taken the unusual decision to limit tourist arrivals, not out of fear of the outside world, but out of a conscious choice to preserve their culture and way of life. While the rest of the planet opens its doors to mass tourism, Bhutan prefers to move slowly, maintaining control over who enters and leaves its borders. The result? A place where happiness is measured not by gross domestic product, but by gross national happiness, a philosophy of life that places human satisfaction above economics. This isolation by choice makes Bhutan a true curiosity of a country. In a world where globalization reaches even the most remote corners, Bhutan stands out as a guardian of ancient traditions and deep spirituality. Buddhist culture permeates every aspect of life, from colorful mountain temples to festivities that celebrate the cycle of nature. For anyone who visits Bhutan, the feeling is of entering a different time, where the pace of life is slower and the connection with the sacred is palpable. And perhaps this distance is what makes Bhutan so special. Every visitor who crosses its mountains is looking for something more than beautiful landscapes. They are looking for a refuge from the hustle and bustle of the modern world, a place where they can take a deep breath and reconnect with what is essential. In Bhutan, time seems to stop, and life unfolds harmoniously between the silent prayers of monks and the sound of temple bells. This kingdom is an invitation to introspection, a reminder that true luxury does not always lie in large metropolises, but in preserved simplicity. But while Bhutan chooses isolation, there are other places that, despite their beauty, have not had the same control. Our next stop takes us to one of those places where isolation was not a choice, but a necessity. Tuvalu, the small submerged nation fighting for survival. Tuvalu, one of the smallest and least visited countries in the world, faces a silent enemy: rising sea levels. Made up of 9 small islands in the Pacific, Tuvalu is literally disappearing. Each year, the waters rise a little more, and what was once dry land is now swallowed by the ocean. This grim reality has alienated many tourists who see the country as an uncertain destination. But for the few who venture there, Tuvalu offers something that goes beyond a simple visit: a lesson in resilience and the fight for survival amid unforgiving nature. Tuvalu's situation is unique and tragic. While many countries try to attract visitors with promises of luxury and modernity, this small nation faces the dilemma of how to protect what little it has left. Its beaches are pristine, its waters crystal clear, but the fragility of its future is palpable in every corner. For those looking for real curiosity about countries, Tuvalu is a destination that challenges conventional notions of tourism. There, visitors not only explore natural beauty, but also witness the strength of a people determined to preserve their land. Despite adversity, the people of Tuvalu remain resilient, living their lives with admirable simplicity. They know their time on those islands may be numbered, but in the meantime, they continue to celebrate their culture, their traditions, and the beauty of their country. For those lucky enough to visit, this experience is profoundly transformative. It is impossible to leave Tuvalu without reflecting on the fragility of human existence and the strength of the collective spirit. The fight for every inch of land, for every house that resists the storms, is proof that the true value of a place lies not in its security, but in its history of resistance. However, while Tuvalu is slowly submerging, there is another nation that, although it has not faced the fury of the ocean, has seen its destiny swallowed up by another type of collapse. Nauru, the country that has disappeared from the tourism map for very different reasons. Nauru is a country whose history seems like a warning about the dangers of uncontrolled exploration. This small island in the Pacific, once one of the richest nations in the world thanks to phosphate mining, saw its fortune disappear as quickly as it arrived. At the height of its economy, Nauru boasted enviable prosperity, with a population that enjoyed one of the highest per capita GDPs in the world. However, rampant extraction has depleted natural resources, and today the island is a silent reminder of the consequences of greed. Its devastated soil and crumbling economy have driven away tourism, making Nauru a forgotten destination. This is a true curiosity of a country, a nation that rose on the global stage and then disappeared almost without a trace. What remains of Nauru are arid landscapes, scarred by mining, and a population struggling to find new forms of sustenance. Tourists rarely visit, and when they do, they are greeted by an atmosphere of melancholy and resilience. But for the few who venture to this isolated island, there is a sense of discovering a part of the world that has stood still in time, an opportunity to witness the mistakes of the past and reflect on the future. Visiting Nauru is, in a way, taking a journey into the heart of a paradox. The island, once synonymous with opulence, now finds itself in a constant struggle for survival. For those curious, Nauru offers a fascinating and at the same time sad story. An example of how nature and the economy can collapse when there is no balance. There are no luxurious resorts or crowded beaches here. What you find is a raw beauty marked by devastation, but still worthy of being seen and understood. After the fall of Nauru, many wonder what the future holds for a nation without natural resources. As the country tries to reinvent itself, we turn our eyes to another destination that, although less drastic, also walks the fine line between history and oblivion. Moldova, caught between great powers but full of untapped potential. Moldova, located between Romania and Ukraine, is often ignored by tourists, but its charm lies precisely in this anonymity. While many Eastern European countries have flourished as tourist destinations, Moldova has remained on the sidelines, bearing the scars of its Soviet past. Its history is marked by invasions and occupations, and this has shaped the identity of a resilient and proud people. Visiting it is like opening a book of stories that few know, where each page reveals a new curiosity about the country, its vast vineyards, isolated monasteries, and preserved traditions. Despite being caught between great powers, Moldova has a cultural richness that surprises. The country is one of the largest wine producers in the world, and its underground cellars are true labyrinths of history and flavor. Few tourists know this, and those who do find out are greeted with warm hospitality and an authentic experience. It's like visiting a place untouched by the rush of the modern world. Visitors find tranquility in the small villages and green hills that shape the country's landscape. For those looking for a curiosity about countries, Moldova is a well-kept secret. Moldova's isolation also offers the opportunity to explore its historic monuments with rare intimacy. The ancient monasteries carved into the rocks and the medieval fortresses transport visitors to a time when the region was the scene of struggles between empires. Few European countries offer such a deep immersion into their history without the hustle and bustle of mass tourism. It's as if Moldova is patiently waiting to be discovered, preserving its authenticity for those who truly value what is unique and rare. However, even though Moldova is a peaceful and welcoming country, it struggles to stand out on the tourism map. As she seeks her place in the world, there is one country that is taking the opposite direction, intentionally restricting the entry of foreigners and keeping its population isolated. North Korea, the most restricted tourist destination on the planet. North Korea is, without a doubt, one of the most enigmatic and inaccessible destinations on the planet. Ruled by a totalitarian regime, the nation keeps its gates closed to the outside world, allowing in only a limited number of tourists, and even these visitors are watched at every step. Visiting North Korea is like entering a parallel reality, where state propaganda shapes the perception of everything around you. The country is a true curiosity of a country, a place where modernity coexists with an atmosphere of isolation, and where the rules are as strict as the barriers that prevent the free flow of information. The North Korea tourism experience is undoubtedly unique, but it comes with a price. Tourists are escorted by guides appointed by the government, who control their every movement and dictate what can or cannot be seen. From grandiose monuments honoring the Kim family to the stark, deserted cityscapes, the country's narrative is carefully choreographed. But behind this facade, there is a hidden North Korea, a closed society that rarely reveals itself to outsiders. Visiting this country is an exercise in observing what is shown and, at the same time, noticing what is being hidden. Few tourists have the opportunity to witness the interesting facts about this country, and those who do come away with a complex and often disturbing understanding of life under a closed regime. What is presented to the world as a socialist paradise hides a reality of extreme difficulties and restrictions. However, for those who dare to visit, North Korea offers a rare glimpse into a nation that has been largely untouched by globalization. The contrast between what you see and what you feel is palpable, creating a unique and, at times, disconcerting travel experience. And while North Korea maintains its isolation with an iron fist, there are other places in the world that, although embroiled in conflict, offer hidden beauty and still hold secrets. Our next stop takes us to Yemen, a land of historical riches and natural beauty, but marked by the devastation of war. Yemen is a country of extreme contrasts. On the one hand, it holds one of the richest and oldest histories of the Middle East, with stunning landscapes that include towering mountains and coastlines bathed by crystal-clear waters. On the other hand, the country has been devastated by years of civil war, which has caused tourism to practically disappear. For those who manage to visit, Yemen is a rare gem where ancient ruins and ancient cities speak of a glorious past that has survived time and destruction. However, this beauty is often obscured by the reality of conflict. Few tourists venture to discover the wonders of Yemen, and this is a real curiosity about the country. In times of peace, the city of Sana'a, with its iconic stone houses decorated with intricate geometric patterns, would be a must-see destination for any architecture lover. Furthermore, Yemen is home to the mysterious island of Socotra, famous for its surreal landscapes and unique biodiversity. These are places that should be at the top of off-the-beaten-path explorers' lists, but the scars of war have made these wonders nearly inaccessible. The war in Yemen has transformed the country into a land of even deeper contrasts. While some areas remain relatively preserved, others have been devastated by conflict, leaving behind ruins and a population struggling to survive. However, the resistance of the Yemeni people is admirable, and those who have had the opportunity to visit this land testify to the strength and hospitality of its people, even in the midst of adversity. For the visitor, Yemen offers not just a physical journey, but an intense emotional experience where beauty and tragedy coexist. As we look to Yemen's future, hope remains that one day it can open its doors again to the world, allowing its wonders to be rediscovered. But in the meantime, we turn to another country ravaged by conflict, but with equally stunning natural scenery. Somalia, where natural beauty meets the chaos of a struggling nation. Somalia is a country that defies all expectations. Often associated with piracy and conflict, its true essence remains hidden behind the horrors of war and instability. However, beneath this turbulent surface, Somalia holds landscapes of unparalleled beauty, with stunning coastlines bathed by the Indian Ocean and vast savannas that seem to stretch to the horizon. Tourism practically does not exist, as insecurity scares even the most courageous travelers. But for the few who have dared to explore it, Somalia reveals a surprising and little-known side. Somalia's beaches are some of the most pristine in the world, with crystal clear waters and stretches of white sand that remain practically deserted. It's hard to believe that such a beautiful place is associated with so much chaos. Furthermore, the diversity of fauna and flora in the most remote areas is a real curiosity about this country, which could be a paradise for ecotourists if it weren't for the constant danger. For those who dare to see beyond the conflict, Somalia offers a unique experience where nature challenges the state of human disorder. Life in Somalia is marked by the daily struggle to survive in the midst of an endless war. Still, the resilience of the Somali people is inspiring. They carry within them the strength of an ancient nation, which was once the center of trade routes and possessed a vibrant culture. Visiting Somalia is a journey that mixes enchantment and desolation, where the visitor is reminded that beauty can endure even in the most difficult conditions. It's as if the earth is waiting for better days, when its natural beauty can finally be appreciated without fear. While Somalia faces the challenge of emerging from chaos, there is another equally enigmatic place where borders are blurred and existence itself is questioned. Transnistria, a country that officially does not exist on the map, but which holds secrets from a bygone era. Transnistria is a true geopolitical anomaly. Officially, it doesn't exist as a country, but for those who visit this narrow strip of land between Moldova and Ukraine, it feels like they've been transported back in time. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Transnistria declared its independence, but was not recognized by any nation in the world. Even so, they established their own government, with a flag, army, and currency, living as if they were still trapped in previous decades. For the few tourists who arrive, it feels like entering a Soviet time capsule. Walking through the streets of Tiraspol, the capital, is like reliving the days of the USSR. Monuments to Lenin still stand in the main squares, and brutalist architecture dominates the skyline. This mix of nostalgia and isolation makes Transnistria a unique curiosity among unrecognized nations. For those brave enough to explore, the country offers a peculiar experience, where frozen history can be seen around every corner. Few places in the world offer such an intact glimpse into a recent past, and this atmosphere of isolation completes the allure of this forgotten territory. Tourism in Transnistria is scarce, but for anyone looking to understand how a region can exist on the margins of international recognition, this is a must-see. Entrance control is strict, but once inside, visitors are treated with hospitality and curiosity by the locals. For those who want to immerse themselves in the spirit of the Cold War, Transnistria offers an almost theatrical setting, where life continues under the shadows of an empire that no longer exists. It is a destination that makes visitors question the concept of nation and sovereignty. And while Transnistria maintains its ambiguous status, other parts of the world struggle to maintain their identity in the face of oblivion. Our next stop takes us to São Tomé and Príncipe, an African archipelago that holds a natural paradise little known to the world. São Tomé and Príncipe is a true paradise hidden in the Gulf of Guinea. This small African archipelago is one of the least visited places in the world, and this only adds to its charm. With lush tropical forests, deserted beaches, and impressive biodiversity, São Tomé and Príncipe offers an immersion experience in nature like few other destinations. For adventure and ecotourism lovers, this is one of the last unexplored refuges. It is a place where visitors can lose themselves in the natural beauty and cultural traditions that are still intact, far from the crowds and mass tourism. The geographic isolation of the archipelago makes it inaccessible, but for those who have the opportunity to reach it, the reward is incomparable. The hospitality of the locals, combined with the charm of the small fishing villages, makes visitors feel like they are part of a well-kept secret. São Tomé and Príncipe is a true country curiosity, a place where time seems to have slowed down, allowing travelers to enjoy the simplicity and purity of the place. Each trail through the forest, or dive into the crystal-clear waters, reveals a scene worthy of a postcard. In addition to its natural beauty, the archipelago also has a rich history of Portuguese colonization, still visible in local buildings and traditions. Colonial forts and cocoa plantations are testaments to a past that continues to influence life in the present. This is a destination for those who want to escape the obvious and immerse themselves in an authentic experience, where interactions with nature and local culture become the real attraction. In São Tomé and Príncipe, luxury lies in simplicity and genuine contact with the land and the people. While we explore this almost unknown haven, there is another African archipelago that, although also untouched, suffers from a lack of infrastructure and the challenges of isolation. The Comoros Islands, a hidden secret in the Indian Ocean that is about to be discovered. The Comoros Islands are a mystery hidden in the heart of the Indian Ocean. This volcanic archipelago, often overlooked by even the most adventurous explorers, offers a breathtaking landscape with dramatic mountains, virgin beaches, and rare biodiversity. However, the absence of tourist infrastructure and political instability have kept the Comoros off the global tourism radar. It's the type of destination that, for those looking for real curiosity about countries, rewards them with an authentic experience, far from the crowds. But the journey there is not easy, and it takes courage to explore its almost untouched beauty. The Comoros have a fascinating culture, the result of a mix of African, Arab, and French influences. The pace of life on the islands is slow, marked by the sound of the waves and the songs of the mosques that dot the landscape. Visitors are greeted with genuine smiles and warm hospitality, but the lack of modern amenities can be a challenge for many. For those who venture out, it is an opportunity to disconnect from the modern world and immerse themselves in a paradise still preserved by time. Every step in the Comoros is a return to the essential, where nature and simplicity meet. Among the most impressive attractions are dormant volcanoes, such as Mount Carthala, which offers one of the most challenging trekking trails in the region. The climb is exhausting, but the views along the way and the absolute silence at the summit reward any effort. Furthermore, the islands are a refuge for divers and marine life enthusiasts, with practically intact coral reefs and rich aquatic fauna. It's a place where adventure is still within reach, awaiting those who have the courage to brave the unknown. While the Comoros remain a well-kept secret, there are other countries that, due to their mountainous and inaccessible landscapes, also challenge the most daring tourists. Next on our journey is Tajikistan, where the silence of the mountains hides indescribable beauty and few souls venture out. Tajikistan is a country of imposing mountains, where the silence is as profound as the landscapes are majestic. Located in Central Asia, between Afghanistan, China, and Uzbekistan, Tajikistan is a virtually unexplored destination. Its mountain ranges, especially the Pamir Mountains, are known as the roof of the world due to their impressive altitude. For trekking and climbing lovers, this is a hidden paradise where nature reigns supreme and human contact is rare. The country's rugged geography makes it a challenge for conventional travelers, but for the more adventurous, Tajikistan offers a setting of indescribable beauty. Few tourists come to Tajikistan, and those who do find people with a strong and welcoming spirit who keep an ancient culture and warm hospitality alive. Remote mountain villages seem untouched by time, and the simplicity of everyday life on the slopes of the Pamirs impresses with its authenticity. This is a place where modernity advances slowly, and visitors have the opportunity to experience a lifestyle that few in the world still live. The silence of the mountains, interrupted only by the wind, creates an almost spiritual environment, where contact with nature turns into an inner journey. Tajikistan also bears the marks of its Soviet past, visible in the cities and infrastructure that seem to have stopped in time. The combination of Soviet heritage and mountainous tradition gives the country a particular charm, a mix of nostalgia and mystery. Visitors exploring Tajikistan feel as if they are discovering a well-kept secret, a true curiosity of a country that few have dared to discover. The effort to cross its borders is amply rewarded by the surreal landscapes and the rich history that unfolds around every bend in the mountains. While Tajikistan remains a hidden gem among the heights, our next destination takes us to Kyrgyzstan, where vast steppes and crystal-clear lakes await those who seek the magic of the unknown. Kyrgyzstan is a country where vast steppes stretch to the horizon, punctuated by majestic mountains and crystal-clear lakes that reflect the blue sky. Located in Central Asia, it offers a striking contrast between the serenity of its landscapes and the rich nomadic tradition that still prevails among its people. Life in the steppes of Kyrgyzstan revolves around nature, and the visitor who arrives in this country is immediately enveloped by the feeling of freedom that comes from living in harmony with the environment. For adventurers, this is an unmissable destination, where natural beauty and the simplicity of life come together to create an unforgettable experience. Lake Issyk Kul, the second largest alpine lake in the world, is one of Kyrgyzstan's biggest attractions. Its clear waters and surrounded by mountains offer a breathtaking setting, ideal for those looking to relax or practice water sports. Around the lake, cozy villages still maintain the traditional lifestyle, where visitors can learn about nomadic culture, which includes horse breeding and the use of the famous yurts, the round tents that serve as shelter for many shepherds. Kyrgyzstan is, without a doubt, a country of curiosities, where the past and the present meet harmoniously. The nomadic tradition in Kyrgyzstan is one of the best preserved in the world. During the summer months, shepherds drive their flocks to alpine pastures, an ancient practice that gives the country a direct connection to its roots. For tourists who visit, it is possible to stay in yurtas and experience this culture up close, an authentic and rare experience these days. The simplicity of nomadic life, combined with the grandeur of the landscapes, creates a magical atmosphere where time seems to slow down and the visitor can reconnect with what is essential. While exploring Kyrgyzstan and its rich cultural heritage, we now head to a destination that, despite being one of the richest countries in the world, remains an enigma for tourists: Brunei, the small and very secretive kingdom in Southeast Asia. Brunei, a small kingdom in Southeast Asia, is one of the richest countries in the world thanks to its oil and natural gas reserves. However, unlike other luxurious destinations, Brunei remains reserved, practically forgotten by mass tourism. While its neighbors, such as Malaysia and Indonesia, draw crowds, Brunei prefers tranquility and the preservation of its Islamic culture. For those who visit, the country offers a glimpse of a world where modernity coexists harmoniously with ancient traditions. It is a true curiosity of a country, where luxury is in the details and in the silence of its beautiful palaces and mosques. One of Brunei's most impressive jewels is the Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque, an architectural masterpiece that dominates the landscape of Bandar Seri Begawan, the country's capital. Its golden minarets and the artificial lake that surrounds it give the impression that it floats in the air, a vision that combines spirituality with the grandeur of design. Alongside this magnificence, the contrast is visible in the floating villages of Kampong Ayer, where residents live on stilts over the water, maintaining traditions that date back centuries. This balance between richness and simplicity makes Brunei a unique destination for those seeking authenticity. However, Brunei is a country that imposes limits. Sharia-based laws restrict certain behaviors, such as alcohol consumption and clothing, which can put off tourists looking for a more liberal experience. But for those who value respect for traditions and want to experience a country that is proud of its roots, Brunei offers a rare opportunity to explore a preserved Islamic culture. Every corner of the kingdom seems enveloped in an aura of mystery and serenity, which makes the visit an almost contemplative experience. While Brunei maintains its discretion and luxury, our next stop takes us to another country that has an intriguing combination of natural wealth and political challenges. Equatorial Guinea, one of the least explored places in Africa, with stunning biodiversity waiting to be discovered. Equatorial Guinea is a country that lives in two worlds. On the one hand, it is one of the richest nations in Africa in terms of oil, and on the other, its vast territory still contains untouched jungles, where biodiversity thrives like in few places on the planet. However, oil wealth has not always translated into development for tourism or the population. The country is still largely unknown to the world, a curiosity about countries that mixes unexplored natural beauty and an internal policy that keeps many visitors away. For those who dare to explore this destination, Equatorial Guinea offers a unique experience, far from conventional tourism. Much of Equatorial Guinea's territory is covered in dense tropical forests, home to a multitude of plant and animal species. Bioko Island, in particular, is an ecological paradise, with its white sand beaches and mountains covered in lush vegetation. Wildlife in the forests includes rare primates and exotic birds, making the country a promising ecotourism destination if explored well. However, the lack of tourist infrastructure and strict government control limit the flow of tourists, keeping this paradise practically untouched. The capital, Malabo, is a city that still carries Spanish colonial influence in its architecture and culture. The quiet streets, historic buildings, and local cuisine offer a glimpse into a past that still shapes everyday life. At the same time, the modernity that oil brought is visible in the new developments and social contrasts that have become part of the landscape. For the few tourists who arrive, Equatorial Guinea is a place where history, nature, and natural wealth meet in a delicate balance, creating a unique experience. While Equatorial Guinea tries to balance its development with the preservation of its jungles, our journey now takes us to Suriname, a piece of the Amazon that seems to have been lost in time, where nature still dominates and colonial influence leaves its mark. Suriname is a country that has in its essence an intriguing mix of cultures and landscapes. Located north of South America, it shares borders with Brazil, but has a completely different identity. Colonized by the Dutch, Suriname still preserves much of its European heritage, while the Amazon jungle covers most of its territory. For visitors, Suriname is a unique curiosity, a piece of the Amazon that seems to have been forgotten by time, where nature still reigns supreme and cultural traditions remain vibrant. The capital, Paramaribo, is a fascinating reflection of this diversity. Its streets are adorned by Dutch colonial houses, Hindu temples, mosques, and synagogues, a living symbol of the coexistence of various cultures. The pace of the city is calm, different from the busier South American metropolises. For those who visit, it is like a trip to the past, where European influences blend harmoniously with local culture, resulting in a truly unique experience. It is a destination for those looking for curiosity about countries, a place that few know about, but which carries a rich history and a special energy. In addition to its fascinating capital, Suriname's true treasure lies in its nature. Much of the country is covered in the Amazon rainforest, and exploring its depths is like venturing into a lost world. Rushing rivers, wild fauna, and lush vegetation await those who have the courage to enter its forests. Ecotourism here is an unexplored opportunity where visitors can experience the Amazon in its purest state, without the major human interventions seen elsewhere. It is an invitation for those looking for an adventure far from the traditional routes. While Suriname offers this intriguing combination of culture and nature, our next destination takes us to a completely different height. Lesotho, the kingdom in the clouds, is a mountainous country where the altitude challenges tourists and the landscapes are breathtaking. Lesotho is known as the kingdom in the clouds, and for good reason. Nestled in the mountains of southern Africa, it is the only country in the world where the entire area is above 1,000 meters in altitude. Its dramatic landscapes and unique mountain culture make Lesotho an underexplored but incredibly fascinating destination. For those brave enough to brave the high altitudes and rugged terrain, Lesotho offers a unique experience where geographic isolation has preserved ancient traditions and created a way of life deeply connected to the land and mountains. Lesotho's altitude creates breathtaking scenery. Sehlabathebe National Park, for example, is one of the country's hidden gems. With wide plains, majestic waterfalls, and impressive rock formations, it is an invitation for trekking and adventure lovers. The untouched beauty of the park is a true curiosity about the country, where the silence of nature dominates and human contact is rare. For adventurers, it's like exploring a world apart, where the mountains hold ancient secrets and the trails lead to landscapes that seem to have no end. Culture in Lesotho is also marked by the rhythm of the mountains. The majority of the population lives simply, cultivating the land and raising livestock, in a routine that follows natural cycles. Life in small mountain villages has a simplicity that contrasts sharply with the modern world. But it is this same simplicity that attracts the few tourists who arrive. The Basotho, as the inhabitants of Lesotho are known, are famous for their hospitality and their colorful hats and blankets, which have become symbols of the country. As we explore Lesotho, a country that seems to be in the clouds, our next destination takes us to a completely different place, Djibouti, where the alien geological landscapes create a surreal atmosphere, and the opportunities for adventure tourism are as vast as the desert itself. Djibouti is a country that defies the imagination. Located in the Horn of Africa, its geological landscapes look like they came from another planet. With salt deserts, hypersaline lakes, and alien rock formations, Djibouti offers an impressive visual experience for anyone who ventures through its lands. Lake Assal, the lowest point in Africa, is one of the most surreal places in the country. Its waters are so salty that nothing sinks, and the white salt banks contrast with the deep blue of the lake, creating a scene that seems to defy the laws of nature. Djibouti is a destination for the curious who want to explore a side of Africa that is still little known and almost extraterrestrial. Djibouti's geography is marked by its proximity to the Great Rift Valley, where tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart, shaping the terrain in dramatic ways. The country's desert is punctuated by volcanic craters, hot springs, and vast expanses of salt flats. For adventurers, it is a geological paradise, where every step reveals a new wonder. This is an ideal destination for those looking for a curiosity about countries, where the landscapes are so rare and impressive that they seem like something out of a science fiction film. The lack of tourists makes the experience even more special, providing a genuine immersion in untouched nature. Despite the extreme conditions, Djibouti is also home to a resilient culture. Its population, made up of different ethnicities, maintains traditions that reflect centuries of adaptation to arid conditions. The markets in Djibouti City are vibrant, with a striking contrast between modernity and the ancient way of life of the desert people. For visitors, it's an opportunity to understand how life flourishes in one of the world's most inhospitable environments, while exploring the fascinating cultural diversity that Djibouti has to offer. While Djibouti impresses with its almost alien landscapes, our next stop takes us to a much more well-known destination, but one that holds secrets beyond its luxurious resorts. The Maldives, where reality goes beyond the crystal-clear waters and dream beaches. The Maldives are known worldwide for their crystal-clear waters and luxurious resorts that appear to float in the ocean. However, there is much more to the Maldives than the perfect image sold on postcards. Behind the stunning beaches and exclusive villages, there is a reality little known to tourists. Local life, outside the resort's private islands, reveals a rich culture and a simple way of life, where Maldivian traditions and hospitality still flourish. For those who decide to explore beyond the obvious, the Maldives offers an immersion experience in a reality little touched by mass tourism. Many visitors are unaware that most of the islands inhabited by local communities have a lot to offer. Small fishing villages maintain the essence of life in the archipelago, where the rhythms of the sea guide daily life. The island of Mafushi, for example, is one of the few where tourists can experience a little more of traditional Maldivian life, far from the exaggerated luxury of the resorts. Walking through the simple streets and interacting with the residents offers a more authentic perspective and reveals a curiosity about this country. The Maldives has an unknown side, where culture and simplicity speak louder than glamour. The impact of luxury tourism in the Maldives also raises significant environmental issues. The rampant development of high-end resorts comes at a cost, and the islands face serious threats from climate change and rising sea levels. Some islands are already suffering the effects, with erosion and a reduction in land area. For those looking for a deeper connection with the destination, this is an opportunity to understand the challenges the Maldives faces and how sustainable tourism can be a crucial solution to preserving this paradise. After exploring the contrasts of the Maldives, we now head to a completely different destination. Vast Mauritania, in the heart of the Sahara, where the desert and forgotten history await those who have the courage to face its infinite sands. Mauritania is a country where the desert dominates almost the entire landscape, a vast expanse of sand that seems to have no end. Located in northwest Africa, this nation is one of the most unknown on the continent, although it has a rich and intriguing history. The Sahara Desert covers most of the country, making it one of the most challenging destinations for tourists. But, at the same time, this desert expanse holds historical treasures that few have had the chance to discover. For those looking for true curiosity about countries, Mauritania offers an experience of complete isolation, where the silence of the desert is interrupted only by the wind. One of Mauritania's most fascinating gems is the town of Chinguetti, an ancient caravan city that was once an important center of Islamic studies and a stopping point for pilgrims on their way to Mecca. Its libraries, which still hold centuries-old manuscripts, are a reminder of the cultural and intellectual richness that the region once housed. Walking through its stone and sand streets is like traveling back in time, when caravans crossed the Sahara, taking with them stories and knowledge. Chinguetti is a destination for those curious to explore the hidden side of African history. The Mauritanian desert is also an invitation for the more adventurous. Exploring the infinite dunes of the Sahara, camping under a starry sky and experiencing the life of nomads are experiences that few tourists dare to experience. The slow pace of the desert, where time seems to stretch, allows for a deep connection with nature and with oneself. For those who risk crossing these arid lands, Mauritania offers complete immersion in a landscape of raw beauty and an almost spiritual silence. Leaving the Mauritanian desert behind, we now head to a less arid but equally unknown destination. Timor-Leste, a young Asian country that bears the scars of its fight for independence and the natural beauty of its beaches and mountains. Timor-Leste, one of the youngest countries in the world, is a land of contrasts. Located in Southeast Asia, this small country was the scene of one of the most recent and bloodiest struggles for independence in modern history. After years of foreign occupation, Timor-Leste finally gained its independence in 2002, and since then, it has struggled to find its way on the international stage. However, despite its tumultuous history, Timor-Leste holds natural beauties that few know about: white sand beaches, imposing mountains, and a rich culture, where tradition meets the new. For those looking for an unexplored destination, Timor-Leste is a curious country that deserves to be discovered. Timor-Leste's beaches, especially around the capital, Dili, are a haven for nature lovers. With clear waters and practically untouched coral reefs, the country is a paradise for divers and adventurers looking for something off the beaten path. Furthermore, the island of Atauro, a small paradise north of Dili, is one of the best places in the world for observing marine life, with impressive underwater biodiversity. For those who are curious about the country, Timor-Leste offers surprising natural landscapes and a tranquility that is rarely found in the most popular tourist destinations. In addition to its natural wonders, Timor-Leste also has a fascinating cultural and historical heritage. The Portuguese influence is still visible in its architecture, in the language, and in the religiosity of the Timorese people. Visiting Timor-Leste is like experiencing a unique mix of cultures, where indigenous traditions, European colonization, and Asian influence intertwine. This cultural melting pot makes the country a unique destination, where every corner reveals a new story and every encounter with locals is a lesson in resilience and hope. As Timor-Leste looks to the future, trying to overcome the challenges of its youth, we now move on to another destination marked by its history, but in a darker way. The Marshall Islands, a radioactive paradise that bears the scars of the nuclear tests that took place there. The Marshall Islands are an archipelago in the Pacific Ocean that hides a dark past. Despite its stunning beaches and crystal-clear waters, this paradise was deeply marked by nuclear tests carried out by the United States between the 1940s and 1950s. Places such as Bikini Atoll, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, were the scene of nuclear explosions so powerful that they transformed the geography of the region and left radioactive scars that remain to this day. For the few tourists who visit the Marshall Islands, there is a strange duality: the undeniable beauty of the landscapes and the awareness of a devastating past. Bikini Atoll, once inhabited by peaceful communities, was evacuated to make way for nuclear testing. Today, although radiation is still present, some divers venture into the atoll's waters, which have become an underwater museum of shipwrecks and planes that sank during testing. It's a curiosity about this island country, where nature, even after such destruction, continues to regenerate, creating a scene that is both beautiful and disturbing. The history of the Marshall Islands is a constant reminder of the destructive power of technology and the resilience of nature. Despite its nuclear history, the Marshall Islands still offer paradisiacal landscapes. The waters surrounding the archipelago are an invitation for divers and underwater explorers, with stunning coral reefs and vibrant marine life. Yet the specter of radiation still haunts the islands, and the generations that lived under the nuclear threat bear the invisible scars of an era of unbridled experimentation. For anyone who visits the Marshall Islands, the emotional impact is inevitable. It is a place of incomparable beauty, but also a reminder of how far humanity can go in the name of progress. As the Marshall Islands tries to balance tourism with the radioactive legacy of its past, our journey continues in another isolated place marked by a harsh regime: Eritrea, North Africa's Korea, where political isolation shapes the lives of its people. Eritrea is often called the North Korea of Africa due to its closed regime and tight control over its population. Located in the Horn of Africa, Eritrea is a country of striking natural beauty, with Red Sea coastlines and dramatic mountains offering spectacular views. However, tourism is almost non-existent due to internal policies that severely limit the entry of foreigners. Few venture to explore this mysterious country, but those who do have the opportunity to discover a place where time seems to have stopped, and history unfolds around every corner. Asmara, the capital of Eritrea, is a fascinating example of this suspension in time. The city is famous for its Italian modernist architecture, reminiscent of the colonial era, and is considered one of the best preserved cities in the world in terms of Art Deco architecture. Walking the streets of Asmara is like stepping back into the 1930s, with elegant buildings, old-fashioned cafes, and an atmosphere that feels on the fringes of the political chaos engulfing the rest of the country. It is a curiosity about countries that few have had the privilege of exploring, and its architectural beauty is a silent invitation for tourism that is not enough. Behind its calm facade, Eritrea lives under an authoritarian regime that severely restricts the freedoms of its citizens. Freedom of movement is limited, and the economy is largely controlled by the state. For the rare tourist, this creates a peculiar travel experience where the hospitality of the Eritrean people contrasts sharply with the oppressive environment in which they live. Exploring Eritrea is a complex emotional journey where the natural and cultural landscapes are wonderful, but the political reality generates a constant feeling of tension. While Eritrea remains isolated, there are other places in the world that, although they have now disappeared as independent nations, have left a lasting historical legacy. The next destination on our trip takes us to explore countries that no longer exist, but whose stories still echo in the present. Throughout history, many nations have come and gone, leaving behind traces of their existence and influences that still shape the world today. These countries that no longer exist are like ghosts, whose borders have been erased by wars, treaties, or political mergers. Among the most notable examples is Yugoslavia, a country that, for much of the 20th century, united diverse Balkan peoples before disintegrating in a series of bloody conflicts. Although the new nations that emerged from this collapse have their own identities, the memory of Yugoslavia still persists, reminding us of the complexities of coexistence between distinct cultures. Another fascinating example is the Ottoman Empire, which once dominated vast areas of Europe, Asia, and Africa. With its fall in the early 20th century, the region's geopolitical borders were redrawn, creating many of the modern nations we know today. Despite its disappearance, the Ottoman legacy is visible in everything from architecture to cultural traditions in countries such as Turkey, Syria, and the Balkans. The story of the disappearing countries is, in some ways, a reminder that borders are temporary and that power and influence may dissipate, but culture and identity remain. In addition to the great empires, there were also small independent nations that simply ceased to exist, such as the Republic of Venice, a commercial power that ruled vast parts of the Mediterranean for centuries before being annexed by Napoleon. The disappearance of Venice as a political entity did not erase its cultural impact, which can still be felt in the arts, architecture, and traditions of northern Italy. For those curious, exploring the stories of these vanished countries is like traveling back in time and understanding how the past shaped the world we live in today. As we reflect on these nations that have disappeared, it is interesting to think about what the future holds for the less visited countries that are still holding out today. Our journey continues to explore how globalization and sustainable tourism can rediscover these places and ensure their stories are not lost to time. With globalization, the world seems to be becoming smaller and smaller, but there are still many places that remain out of reach for most tourists. However, with the advancement of connectivity and increasing awareness of sustainable tourism, these forgotten countries are beginning to gain attention. The future of tourism in these isolated destinations depends on how they are rediscovered, and how they manage to balance tourism development with the preservation of their cultures and ecosystems. For modern explorers, these countries represent a unique opportunity to experience something truly authentic and contribute to their growth in a responsible way. Sustainable tourism has become one of the biggest global trends, offering less visited countries a chance to join the world economy without losing their identity. These places, often preserved due to the lack of major infrastructure, can offer immersive and authentic experiences, far from the masses that flock to more popular destinations. For visitors, this means experiencing intact cultures, exploring virgin natural landscapes, and contributing to the local economy in an ethical way. The challenge lies in maintaining this delicate balance, avoiding the rampant exploitation that has so often harmed previously untouched destinations. Technology will also play a key role in this process. With the ease of access to information and the growth of social networks, many of these forgotten countries have the chance to promote themselves as emerging destinations, attracting a new type of tourist, those looking for something out of the ordinary. However, with this visibility comes the responsibility to preserve what makes these places special. The future of tourism in countries like Comoros, Tuvalu, or Eritrea should not just be about increasing the number of visitors, but rather about maintaining the essence that makes them unique, ensuring that tourism does not destroy what is most valuable. As we look to the future of tourism, it's important to remember that exploring the unknown is more than visiting new places. It's also a way to better understand the world and yourself. Now, as we approach the end of this journey, we come to the last topic: why the unknown is so worth exploring and what we can learn by doing so. Exploring the unknown has always been part of human nature. From the earliest explorers to modern adventurers, the desire to discover what lies beyond the horizon drives us. These days, in an increasingly connected world, it may seem like there aren't many mysteries left. However, as we have seen throughout this journey, there are still countless unexplored places and stories that tourism has forgotten. These destinations offer much more than beautiful scenery. They provide a rare opportunity to connect with the new, with untouched cultures and preserved nature. For those looking for a transformative travel experience, these forgotten places are true treasures waiting to be discovered. Exploring the unknown is not just a matter of geography. It's about discovering something about ourselves in the process. Each country visited, each culture encountered, and each challenge overcome teaches us something new. These less visited countries, with their wild landscapes and preserved traditions, remind us of the vastness and diversity of our planet. By moving away from conventional tourist destinations, we gain a new perspective on the world and our place in it. Every journey into the unknown is an opportunity for learning, growth, and self-discovery. Furthermore, by exploring these places, we can make a difference. Sustainable tourism offers a way to support local economies and contribute to the preservation of cultures and ecosystems that might otherwise be lost. By choosing underexplored destinations, we not only experience something new, but we also help ensure that these riches continue to exist for future generations. Traveling with awareness and respect for the places we visit is a way of giving back and valuing what the world has to offer us. So, why not open your mind to these less visited destinations? Why not give countries that tourism has forgotten a chance? After all, the true magic of traveling is discovering the unexpected, exploring the unknown, and losing ourselves only to find ourselves again. Your next destination could be the most transformative of your life. Now, it's your turn to choose. Which forgotten country would you like to explore?
Hey explorers, if you love discovering the amazing curiosities and stories we share here on Exploring Nations, how about supporting the channel with just $1? This small gesture can make a big difference and is essential to keep this content going. Without your support, our journey might be cut short. And there's more. When you shop on Amazon, use our special link. It costs you nothing extra, plus you get an exclusive discount and it helps us out a lot. The links for donations and Amazon are pinned in the first comment. Don't let this adventure stop, we're counting on you. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and drop us a comment.